Hello and welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your host, Morgan. So a couple of days ago, we discussed the Keystone XL Pipeline, which has been back in the news after President Biden revoked that presidential permit and halted the construction of the pipeline. Today, we're going to talk about another controversial pipeline that's often talked about alongside the Keystone, but they're different enough I wanted to give them each their own video. The pipeline we're talking about today is the Dakota Access Pipeline, and as of recent news, it is also being scrutinized by the Biden administration. So go ahead, get your snowflake drink of choice ready, and let's get into this. So what exactly is the Dakota Access Pipeline? Well, the Dakota Access Pipeline is an underground pipeline that carries crude oil from North Dakota to a shipping point in Illinois. And a lot of the same environmental concerns are going on with this pipeline as we talked about with the Keystone XL Pipeline, so we're not going to get super in-depth on that. Please go back and watch that video if you want a little bit more. No, the main controversy we're going to be talking about today is that if there would be an oil spill with this pipeline, not only would it cause ecological disaster, which is it's a big deal, and that matters. But the important issue we're going to focus on today is the more human issue, because the proposed pipeline runs beneath Lake Oahe. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, and I do apologize. But this particular lake, it's a reservoir on the Missouri River that is directly upstream of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. And that means an oil spill could contaminate their drinking water and damage sites sacred to the tribe in that vicinity. And this particular pipeline back in 2016 made the news because of the protesters camping out in the North Dakota and South Dakota region for months, even getting into the freezing temperatures in the late fall and winter. And those protesters were treated very cruelly, especially when the winter came and I think it was the Army Corps issued basically a demand for them to disperse and let the pipeline keep being built. Well, they didn't, and many things happened to try to force the protesters to move off. Some cases there were arrests made, in other cases the protesters were hosed down. Take that into perspective. The protesters were hosed down in freezing temperatures. A lot of the people camped out there, they weren't just these young people in perfect health. There were a lot of older protesters there too. And despite their age, despite their health, they were hosed down in freezing temperatures, among other things, but it was the hosing down that I remember strongest from seeing the news. Now, the Obama administration did ultimately halt construction of this pipeline. Now, unlike the Keystone Pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline does not need a presidential permit to be built because it's not crossing national borders. It's entirely within the United States. But like the Keystone XL Pipeline, the Trump administration reversed the decision by the Obama administration and gave the project the big green light. So, moving forward, we're going to talk about some ongoing legal battles that have actually been making the news in fairly recent days. So first of all, let's pop back to July 6th, 2020, so a little over a year ago at this point. A U.S. District Judge, James Boasberg, ordered that Energy Transfer, which is the company that operates the pipeline. They are a Texas-based company, but they're in charge of the Dakota Access Pipeline, essentially. So this judge ordered Energy Transfer to halt the oil flow and drain the pipeline within 30 days. So the reason he ordered that the pipeline be drained and to halt the oil flow within it is that he determined that the U.S. Army Corps failed to address the oil spill concerns and failed to conduct the necessary environmental impact study. And this was a big deal because that is one of the key things that these lawsuits have been citing from the environmental groups, from the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe's lawyers. One of the big things is that this environmental impact study, despite what Energy Transfer says, was not conducted in the proper way. But by July 15th, 2020, so a couple days later, basically, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit issued a stay, which meant that Energy Transfer could continue to pump oil and didn't have to drain the pipeline. And so that was the big deal there, that the shutdown of the pipeline ordered by the lower courts was blocked. Now, there's some more nuance that had to go along with the stay, like it was only for a specific period of time, and Energy Transfer had to file some more responses and all that stuff. But point being, oil continued to flow, the pipeline was not drained. So now we need to fast forward to January 26th, 2021, or at least as of that date. So the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit issued a ruling that ultimately upheld the previous ruling against the Army Corps. So remember, this was like the same court that issued the stay, but just because they issued that stay allowing the pipeline to continue pumping oil didn't mean that they were overturning everything that had been previously ruled. So they upheld the decision that the Army Corps violated environmental laws and did not conduct a proper environmental impact study. And basically that meant that they did not actually study how that pipeline will impact the environment and what threat it would actually have to the Standing Rock Tribe's drinking water. And Jan Hasselman, the attorney for the Standing Rock Tribe, does emphasize that the pipeline does not currently have a permit and is technically operating illegally, which is important because in one of the articles that I do have linked down below, they do talk about that there is a February 10th date that the Army Corps are going to have to answer to the court how they intend to continue operating the pipeline without the necessary permits. This video is being filmed on the 8th. If I notice a big update by the time this video goes out, I will put it in a pinned comment down below. But this particular pipeline, it gets kind of confusing looking for information on because there are so many legal battles, which brings us to the other legal battle I want to talk about that is pretty much over, but it amused me looking at it. So let's talk about it. And I have this stuff linked down below as well. So Energy Transfer has created its own Dakota Access Pipeline facts website, where they basically claim that the pipeline is entirely safe. Everything that's being said against them is a lie. Their environmental impact studies have been conducted. Everything's fine. Just let them do what they want. It's cool. And Energy Transfer sued Greenpeace and other environmental groups as well, but their lawsuit is basically Greenpeace is the big one. They sued them for $900 million for racketeering and defamation. And there is a website that I've also linked down below that I don't know if Energy Transfer actually owns or not, but the website is entirely just the Energy Transfer side of the website. And if you look at this website, their big thing is the pipeline is not under tribal land. This is a complete lie. They're not claiming that it's under tribal land for the first part. In one of the NPR articles I have linked, it does say that it's on tribal land, but that's not accurate. And none of the other articles say that. I think that's just a mistake on NPR's part, because everything else I've looked at doesn't say that. It says that the pipeline threatens drinking water downstream and sacred sites because it crosses beneath the river upstream of the tribe's drinking water. It doesn't say it's on tribal land. You can still not be on tribal land and threaten drinking water and sacred sites if a spill were to happen. And again, they keep saying that the pipeline is safe and environmental impact studies have been done. And I'd just like to point out that even though this case was concluded before the courts came to the conclusion that the environmental impact studies were not actually conducted in a satisfactory manner by the U.S. Army Corps, this is false. So I am going to note that this website hasn't been updated since I think 2017 from what I can see, but this case was dismissed in 2019 by the federal courts. So basically, Energy Transfer lost their lawsuit against Greenpeace and all the other environmental groups that they were basically saying they're bullying me and not letting me do what I want. So this pipeline has a lot more legal battles right now going on with it, and I can't necessarily say I'm shocked since it is run by a Texas oil company. And not to shit on the state of Texas, but you're not exactly known for giving a damn about the environment, so can't say I'm surprised here. Now, again, all these sources are linked down below. If you want to get more into the details and nitty-gritty of these legal battles, please do, because it's fascinating, but it's a little bit much to go into in one video. So this is another thing that I'm gonna kind of be looking at because it is fascinating. This one has a lot more human rights issues wrapped into it than the Keystone Pipeline did directly. So those are kind of the reasons why I don't think that they should be talked about in the same conversation. I think they should be their own individual conversations. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, afternoon, evening, what have you, and I will see you all in the next one.
Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you would like to see more. And if you'd like to follow me on any of my other social medias, the links are down in the description below. Don't forget to check out thereptilegoth.com for all of my articles and blog posts. If you found any value in this video and you would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. That link is also in the description down below. And a special thanks goes out to my Diamond Dragon patron, Diane V. What you're doing is really helping me fund a dream here. I will see you guys all in the next one.